I had a little tune of here queued up.
I couldn't do that now. No way. Sweet Georgia Brown.
This is 1978. It's a tune called Shine.
Oh yeah.
That's great. Is it possible for you to describe what you think about when you're playing, when you're improvising?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I've never been asked that before.
Well,
I just try to shut everything out and just make the music the most important thing, you know.
mm-hmm.
I couldn't really tell you what I'm thinking about. I'm listening to the other players
Mm-hmm.
in the group, which makes you a better player. If you just shut out everybody and you let your ego run wild, you're not going to play as well. A lot of players do that.
You let your ego run wild, then it doesn't serve the music.
No,
right?
you got to play with. You're playing with people,
Uh-huh.
not against them.
I see. Does if you're playing a tune that you're not all that familiar with, are you more likely to be thinking, okay, what's the chord that's coming
Oh, sure.
up? Yeah.
Right.
Because it occurs to me sometimes at these jazz parties that how can you possibly know every
You
song?
can't know every song.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me now because I don't play that much.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I don't practice rarely, you know.
Yeah.
2 or 3 days before a gig, I'll get the guitar out and play a little bit.
Yeah. So you kind of pick and choose your gigs these days?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've been in the business since, let's see here, Soft Winds Trio.
Yeah, before then, though, I was with Jimmy Dorsey.
Yeah, Jimmy Dorsey and Casa Loma Orchestra.
Yeah.
So that must have been the late 40s?
Castellone was early 40s, and Jimmy was 45 through 47.
So you've been in the business over 50 years, well
Oh,
over
my,
50
yeah.
years, yeah.
I'm 78.
Uh-huh.
I've been in the business, to see, what time did I start? When I was in college. No, when I left college to go with the band.
Mm-hmm.
So that would make me about 20.
Can you recall what your parents thought of you leaving college to go play music?
Well, they knew I loved music, and they were all for me.
Yeah, that's great. When you got the chance to play with Oscar Peterson, that was, what, a 5-year stretch?
6 years.
6 years.
Almost.
What kind of challenge was that musically in that group?
Oh my gosh, it's hard to describe. We had a lot of arrangements, and they weren't just charts that you got ahead. They were really complicated, you know.
Mhm.
And you had to remember them all because we didn't write it down.
Yeah.
And Oscar made it. He didn't purposely make it, but he used to know about how much Ray and I could play, and he'd give us right up to the hilt.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. So there was a lot of like written, or not written out, but ensemble things.
Oh yeah.
In addition to the melodies you had to remember.
Mhm.
Wow. You guys were kind of practical jokers
Oh
at
boy,
times,
they
weren't you?
were. Yeah.
They were?
Yeah.
Not you,
yeah,
huh?
No, I did a little bit. Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Can you recall some of the things that?
I can recall one of the things I did.
Yeah.
We were playing this whatever place, and we had an intermission. So Oscar had been pulling jokes on Ray and I, so I thought I'd get back at him.
Mhm.
So I took tape and taped some of the notes together, you know, under the little lip of the notes, so you can't see any tape.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, under the key, you mean?
Yeah.
Uh huh.
and he came out, and of course he couldn't play. Yeah. But he took it good.
Well, he dished it out, didn't
Oh
he?
my gosh, did he ever?
I'm trying to remember. I read something about him tuning down Ray's bass on occasion.
Yeah. Well, he I don't know if he let me see him, but anyway, we had an admission. We go back up to play, and he called a tune. Let's say it was 7-11. It's in A flat.
Mhm.
So I started in A flat, and I was way out of tune, you know. Well, he and Ray were playing in the key of A, so I tuned up to.
Oh no!
Yeah.
You retuned your whole guitar,
Oh, sure.
and he,
And I had to
wasn't
tune it back down again.
while you're playing.
Yeah.
That's wild. What made Ella Fitzgerald such a great singer in your mind?
She just had all the qualities. She had the melodic content, the sound, the phrasing,
Mm-hmm.
everything. Probably the world's greatest singer to date.
Mm-hmm. And what a scat singer, huh?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. She's a spoiler. After you play with her and listen to her, other people sound mediocre.
Uh-huh. Was it ever hard for you to follow her singing with a solo of your own? Feel like she's already said it all.
Well, yeah, you're right, but on Jazz at the Philharmonic, she had a set, you know, and we didn't, the quartet behind her, we didn't play any numbers. We'd just have some solos on some of her songs.
I
you know.
see. What was Norman Granz like to work for?
It was wonderful,
Yeah.
yeah. Great businessman.
Mm-hmm.
And he had certain rules, you know, because I remember one time I didn't think I was getting enough money, so I asked Norman for a raise. And he said, you know better than that. He said, I can't give you a raise in mid-tour. He said, before the next tour, we'll negotiate.
I see. Do you mind telling me what those kind of paychecks were like in those days?
Oh, well, you know, it was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So $500 a week was big money then.
Yeah. Okay. That was. Let's see. When was that?
53, I went with
Yeah.
53.
Yeah, 500 a week.
Yeah,
That wasn't too bad, especially doing what you like. Right?
that's right.
Yeah. You've played with so many of the great people in jazz, and so many have played with you. Is there, in your career, what are the highlights for you? Have we already mentioned them?
What are the highlights? I think certainly playing with Oscar and Ray was a highlight.
Mm-hmm.
And then playing with all the other people in Jazz at the Philharmonic. And what was a great reward for me, a great confidence builder. Almost all of the ones, when they'd make their own records, they'd use me.
That is a big compliment.
It really is.
Yep. When did it occur to you to start doing these great duet records with other guitar players?
Gosh. Well, I first did them with Joe Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that came about. But we both played Dante's in Los Angeles, you know, at different times.
Played what?
Dante's. Was
Oh, Dante's, yeah.
the name of a club.
Mm-hmm.
So one time we decided to play together, and we packed the place. So after that, when we play together.
I'm always curious about how two chordal instruments communicate when you're playing a tune and you decide to
Well-
go somewhere else with it.
Well, yeah, that's a secret of. It's not a secret. I mean, it's just you either kind of have that or you don't have it. You know, and Joe was the best soloist, of course, and then the best accompanist that I've ever had. He knew just when to play something and just when to lay out. And hopefully, I'm pretty good at that too.
Uh-huh. That idea of when to lay out is really
It's
important.
very important.
Very important. Yeah.
Because see, Joe listens to what everyone else is playing.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Would you say that Charlie Christian was an influence for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Django Reinhardt to some degree, but Charlie was the biggest influence.
Mm-hmm. How many opportunities did you have to see him?
None.
None. Never saw him live.
So,
He had such a short career, didn't he?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think he died when he was 21.
Did your upbringing, and you're from Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did that have anything to do with the sound? Was there a Texas swing thing going on back then that influenced your playing at all?
Well,
Western
there may
swing?
have been, but you know, we lived on a farm,
Uh-huh.
so we didn't have any records. You know, just a couple that our relatives left. You know, and so I just played and listened to the radio and tried to copy what I heard. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I never had any lessons.
What kind of, no lessons at all?
Mm-mm.
Wow. What kind of things did you hear on the radio in those days? Was it late 20s?
All different things, you know. A lot of country music,
Mm-hmm.
and I like certain things that are country. It's hard to describe. I don't know. I just love the guitar.
Yeah.
And my father was great. We had a farm, and so we'd be out picking cotton. So I tell him that I didn't feel well, you know, and he'd say, "Okay, Herb, you can go back to the house, but you must practice the guitar."
Oh. He's a smart man then.
That's right.
Yeah. I had a question about, I was wondering about the Depression years for your family.
Mm-hmm.
Did it affect your lifestyle and the economy of the area you were in?
Well, it certainly did, but I didn't notice it so much, you know, because, I mean, I would just, that's
As a
the way
boy.
things were, you know.
Yeah.
And we always had great food because we raised a lot of it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I had very loving parents. I was very fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
And a sister and a brother.
Yeah. Did your parents stay on that farm for their whole life?
Yes.
Yeah. And it was mostly a cotton farm, was it?
Well, yeah, principally. And we
Uh-huh.
raised corn to feed the animals, you know. And onions. We raised onions.
Yeah. What did you decide to go to school for?
Gosh. I wanted to major in music. That's why I went.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the last year of high school, I got a mellophone. You know, it looks like a French horn.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned to play it, and I learned to read a little bit, see. So then I could get into football games.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And then I went to North Texas State, and I thought I'd take the French horn up, but it's one of the most difficult
That's for sure.
instruments there are to start that late.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to read in several clefs. So
Yeah.
I bypassed that and changed to the bass.
Mm-hmm. Well, you played bass also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When did you finally switch to guitar? You've
I
been
played
playing
the guitar
all the time
all
you were
the
playing.
time, yeah.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the how the Soft Winds trio came together.
Well,
Right.
we were all three with Jimmy Dorsey,
Uh-huh.
and I think it's the bassist, Johnny Frigo. He got us, found out we could play in a certain room. I think it was in Detroit. So we loved Jimmy Dorsey's orchestra and Jimmy Dorsey. So we drew straws to see who had to tell him we were leaving.
Oh.
And Johnny Frigo, the bassist, lost. He had to tell him, you know. And Jimmy was very upset, needless to say. And the guitar book, I had a lot of ensemble with the horns written, you know. And some of it was pretty difficult. So Jimmy just negated that, just got a rhythm guitarist.
I see. It'd be hard to replace that kind of
Yeah,
player
at that time,
could do that.
you don't find anybody that could read that well.
He was a pretty good saxophone player,
It
wasn't
certainly was.
he? Yeah.
You know who copied him and loved him was Charlie Parker.
Yeah. Right, and he played some of those semi-classical
Uh-huh.
things too pretty well. Yeah. Didn't you do a reunion thing with the Soft Winds fellas a number of years back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were on a boat tour.
Uh-huh. Well, is there anything in your career that you haven't done that you wish you could have?
Not really.
No.
I've just been so fortunate.
Yeah.
I've been blessed with talent, and I've gotten to play with the best, you know.
Mm-hmm. Anybody that you would have liked to played a couple gigs with? Charlie Parker,
Charlie
perhaps?
Parker, of course.
Yeah.
I got to play with Dizzy.
Yeah. No, you did.
Yeah, I got to play with Charlie Parker one time. I was with a band, Charlie Fisk band, and we had a few days off in Kansas City, and the tenor player knew this club that Charlie was sitting in, and I said, we went out, and there he was playing. So we got up on the stand, and the very first tune they played was Cherokee, which is the bridge is very difficult. So Charlie played, and he never played long. He didn't play many courses, you know. He didn't need to. So the guy next to me said, "You got it." I said, "No, I ain't got it either." So I waited till they played some blues or rhythm, something that I knew.
Yeah, that Cherokee is one tough tune. You ever play that tune on these kind of parties?
No.
No one wants to embarrass themselves,
That's
right?
right.
You taking just occasional gigs these days, like the
Mhm.
jazz parties, and
Right.
yeah. Do you ever get together with Ray Brown and play anymore?
No.
No. Okay.
He's the world's greatest bassist.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there a specific reason that he is?
Yes. He knows what the function of the instrument, you know, and he just doesn't play a lot of notes, which a lot of bass players do these days, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He learns the songs, and he knows almost every song written, and then he plays the basic notes, you know, and he plays great solos, but playing the bass, accompanying people is the most important thing to him.
Mm-hmm. That's good advice. Speaking of advice, have you had to give any parting words to up-and-coming guitar players
Yeah,
in music these days? You have any suggestions for them?
absolutely. I'd say when you're playing, improvising, sing along with what you play. That's very important. Otherwise, you just play a bunch of junk and a bunch of scales, you know, which a lot of young people do, I'm afraid.
Hmm.
You know, if you sing along, then it'll be music, because you're not going to sing anything stupid or dumb.
You know, come to think of it, when I watch you play, I see your mouth moving
Yeah.
on occasion.
Well, all the players I know that are good sing what they play.
Uh-huh.
You can hear Oscar.
Yeah. Wonder how he keeps up with himself sometimes. Well, I want to congratulate you on your just marvelous and lengthy career.
Thank you.
You know, it's great to have you here this weekend, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you.
All right?
All right.
Thank you.
My pleasure.